Has the recent market volatility put your retirement plan to the test? See if your retirement is still on track by scheduling a retirement checkup with Lauren Merkel. During this 15-minute phone call, we'll discuss if your retirement plan could be disrupted by long-term market volatility. We'll also analyze your current tax plan and provide strategies on how to take advantage of the market. Go to merkelplan.com and click Book Now to schedule your retirement checkup today. The morning news on YourIowa.com is brought to you by the Commission on U.S. Territories, striving for equal representation around the globe, and by Keep Iowa First, committed to keeping the Iowa caucuses the first in the nation contest in selecting the presidency of the United States. And now, here's your host, Brent Roske.
Hello, everybody. Happy Monday to you. This looks a little different today. We're doing some work in the studio. So today we've a very clean and a basic backdrop today, but we'll be back in the studio tomorrow. So thank you for waking up early. Boy, look at the screen, folks. We'll bring this full screen. Brandon Ost made this film. He was on Friday talking about Inherited. Boy, what a fun short film made in Iowa. And it's just a fantastic film. They shot it in a very short amount of time. And the house you're seeing and that plane that you're about to see in a second, I mean, this is that's not computer generated. It's actually a plane. And you'll see here in a second, they actually demolished this house. And it was a part of the storyline, and it's very Terrence Malick. So definitely check out the archives for that episode. There it is, in pieces. Just a fantastic project. Did you see last Thursday, folks, the special 50th episode of this program? Former Senator Tom Harkin was on the program live from the Bahamas. It was fantastic. So grateful to Senator Harkin for being on the show, amongst other folks like Dr. Franz Whitfield and Admiral Mike Franken and Gary Kroger and David Weaver and Doug Burns. A whole bunch more people were on the 50th episode. Lisa Marks, Britt Slater, Karin Derry, who's going to be on here in a second. Just a fantastic show. So thank you to everyone who was involved on that. Did you miss last Friday? There's CJ Perry co-starring with Bruce Willis in his new movie Cosmic Sin. It's one of these sci-fi crazy films. You're going to want to check that out. And this Friday, there's Matt Del Negro. Kevin Bacon is the one there lighting the cigarette. That's a scene from a Showtime series called City on a Hill that is premiering this weekend. And there's Matt Del Negro from my film, Chasing the Hill. There's City on a Hill. There's Chasing the Hill. There's... Showtime show City on a Hill season 2 starts this Sunday, and Matt Del Negro is one of the stars of that. So he is going to be on. Matt Del Negro is going to be on this show Friday, talking about working with Kevin Bacon, that show. So very grateful to Showtime because they actually gave us an exclusive scene direct from the editing bay. So we're very grateful to Showtime for making that happen. All that and more. We're going to be chatting with Karin Derry. Right after the forecast, we have Emmy-winning meteorologist Jason Parkin with a quick forecast.
And the weather brought to you this morning by Clear Mortgage. We've got a rainy couple of days ahead, and here's the way it looks for today. It'll be about 53 degrees by noon and 57 by 4 p.m. So even with the rain, not terribly chilly out there given the time of year, but still it's going to be wet today. It will also be wet on Tuesday, and this rain looks to linger into the morning hours on Wednesday. So upper 50s today and Tuesday, 52 Wednesday, and then we dry out a little bit. Thursday, Friday, mid-50s, partly cloudy skies, a slight rain chance on Saturday. Sunday, it does get a little cooler. Sunday with sunshine, high temperature near 49 degrees.
Welcome back to the program, and there she is every Monday with our Capital Roundup. Karin Derry, thanks so much for being on the program today.
Hi, Brent. How are you?
I'm good. As you can see, it's I've got the wood paneling background today, but we'll be back in the studio tomorrow. And it's an early Monday. It's a chilly Monday today, and that forecast is going to be rainy today. So hoping for some sunshine later in the week. But you're here to tell us about some capital shenanigans. And I learned a new phrase last week. What is it? Divisive concepts? Is that the thing? What's going on here?
Yeah. So the House passed House File 802, which addresses diversity training. And initially, it was the Bill 802 was written to address diversity training in our K through 12 schools, Regents, universities, Iowa's public schools, basically. They added an amendment to it less than 24 hours before the vote on the bill to also include all municipalities, all local government in the bill. So that includes law enforcement, cities, counties, also includes the administrative branch, the judicial branch. Now, whether or not it's constitutional for the legislature to be telling the judicial branch what it can and cannot do with its diversity training is an open question, I would say. But yeah, they passed this House File 802. And what it does is it basically prohibits these groups, when they do any kind of diversity training, from planning to discuss these divisive concepts. And the divisive concepts are outlined in the bill.
Okay, what in the world is a divisive concept in regards to diversity training? What are you talking about?
Yeah, okay, so some of them kind of make some sense. So one of the things that you can't state as a fact under this bill is that one race or sex is inherently superior to another race or sex. Another thing is that an individual can be discriminated. You cannot teach that an individual can be discriminated against or receive adverse treatment because of their race or sex. So, a couple of things that I think most of us would agree. No diversity training should be including that type of thing. Now, I will say that I have been participating in diversity training in one form or another since 1993, and never once has any of the trainers brought up either of those items as facts. So, those concepts that we would probably all agree with strike me, based on my experience, as a solution in search of a problem. Some of the more problematic divisive concepts as defined in the bill include things like that the state of Iowa is fundamentally or systemically racist or sexist. So you can't teach about systemic racism in these kinds of programs. Or that an individual bears responsibility for actions committed in the past by other members of the same race or sex. This is my favorite, that any individual can't teach anything that would say that any individual should feel discomfort, guilt, anguish, or any other form of psychological distress on account of that person's race or sex. So you're going to talk about racism or sexism. Don't hurt anyone's feelings, according to this law, because that's a divisive concept.
So the House passed this. What happens to this next?
Okay, so there has been another bill in the Senate that is, addressing diversity training in our schools. Very different. In fact, a lot of Democrats voted for the bill in the Senate. So those two bills, a bill has to pass in both the House and the Senate in identical form in order to, make it to the governor's desk. So those two, one's going to have to reconcile with the other one and determine, which bill moves forward in both chambers.
But the House passed this, so it's amazing to me that so many people feel like that those things need to be a law. Like this has to be looked at so much that we have to put the full I mean, think of all the time invested. Think about all the, the hours invested in getting the Iowa House legislature to pass a bill, and they like all that energy. That's what they're focused on. So I guess my question is this. So if you're in a diversity training and you get upset, if this bill were law, then what do you press charges? And what would they be facing as far as penalties, the person giving the training?
Well, I imagine, you remember we talked about last week how the House Oversight Committee hauled the Ames Community School District into their meeting to, explain themselves related to their Black Lives Matter week that they developed the curriculum for. So I think there'd be, some of that, potentially funds could be withheld. But I think what you're talking about is a really important point. It's not only what will happen, but, what are schools really going to do is related to this. Because one of the conversations during debate was that, this is the House floor manager, Representative Steve Holt, talking, but by all means, if these topics come up, you can have a conversation about them, which to me doesn't make a whole lot of sense. You can't plan for that or introduce it, but go ahead and talk about it. I think the reality is going to be that a lot of groups that don't have to do this type of thing simply won't. They're just not even going to go there. Who's going to take the chance, what school board is going to sign up to take the chance that they're going to be treated the way the Ames School Board was treated at the House Oversight Committee?
Well, yeah. And think about that. Hey, should we have diversity training? Well, I don't know. What if someone complains and we'll get in trouble? It just boggles my mind. And, there are just so many examples. We don't have to be happy about the fact that there are proven examples of systemic racism. We're supposed to be working against it, but acting as if it doesn't exist doesn't make it go away.
Well, exactly. And how do we possibly move forward with these hard issues if a privileged person like me, if you can't present any information that might make a privileged person like me feel any level of discomfort? Yeah, I should feel discomfort about the history of racism and sexism and all kinds of different things in my state and in the country. How can you say that Iowa is not systemically racist when you look at discrepancy in pay between white men and women and persons of colors, or the inequitable health outcomes for persons of color because they don't have the same access to health care as someone like I do. It shuts down. This was a long debate. Over 3 hours, and there were a lot of Democrats who spoke very, very passionately about this, especially the members of the Democratic Black Caucus in the House. Very passionate, very moving words on the floor from them about how this isn't going to do anything to help us move forward, and we need to move forward.
Well, I just don't understand this supposed victimization, and that really, it just boggles my mind. Not only, denying that there's an issue, that there's a problem, saying that you're a victim by even talking about it. This thin-skinnedness. Yeah, things are going to be uncomfortable. These are real topics. These are real challenges. And, life isn't about veering away from uncomfortable things just because we want to. Like you say, we've got to move forward by addressing it. I was reading New York Times early this morning. 1924, Manhattan Beach, California, the Bruce family had opened up a black beach resort. They bought the land, they owned it. Well, what do you know? The city didn't like a bunch of black folks being at a beach community, so they condemned the property and kicked them out and took the land back for a park. 3 decades later, made it a park. Well, now the descendants and part of the city council, Janice Hahn is on the city council, are like, hey, you know what? We kind of stole this resort from this family who bought it outright. So this isn't, people talk about these concepts like it's ancient history and all that sort of thing. the New York Times spelled out very simply. They said, the descendants of this family would easily be millionaires, and they were paid $14,000 through a completely illegal act of the city. And it's just, I mean, obviously that's California, it's not Iowa, but that is being talked about today. So it's, you can't bury your head in the sand, and you certainly can't legislate against having uncomfortable conversations.
Well, the House Republicans think you can. So, and they think it's okay. They liken these types of conversations to Marxism. I mean, the debate was painful to watch. It was sad to watch different Republicans, not all Republicans. I mean, I suspect there were a few who maybe held their nose when they voted for this. I hope so.
When they voted for it, though.
No, yeah, you don't get a free pass for voting for something that you don't agree with. I agree.
Yeah, I mean, you don't have to show up that day. You could vote no. I mean, that's the thing, I hear all these people say, well, it's not fair sometimes running as an incumbent because people get to run against my record. No, that's what it means, actually. Yeah. Those are the choices you make. Yeah. I mean, so yeah, I just, if people, anyway, well, thank you for talking to us about this today. So it sounds like what you're saying is the Senate bill might have a better chance of getting put into law. Is that right?
Perhaps, one of them is going to have to be amended if they want to move anything like this forward. So, but it's not as though the Senate Republicans have not passed some pretty crazy stuff out of that chamber. So, I certainly hope it's whatever comes out is more like what's in the Senate bill than in the House bill. But to say I'm confident at this point would be definitely overstating it. Yeah. And another thing that was so frustrating to watch is, I've seen, Steve Holt, use this reference to MLK's "I Have a Dream" speech more than once. And he talks about how Martin Luther King Jr. Said in his "I Have a Dream" speech that, I have a dream that someday my children will be judged by the content of their character, not the color of their skin. Very famous quote. We all know it. And it seems to me that that's what, Representative Holt and other people who support this kind of thing are saying is that, we all need to just get past this racism and, just focus on the content of character. And I was pleased to see more than one House Democrat point out that, that was an "I have a dream" speech. We're not there. That is not our reality right now.
Well, and a bunch of white legislators in Iowa don't get to decide when that dream is realized. Martin Luther King had a dream for that. Me as a white man can't say, okay, now you get the dream right now, and we're not going to talk about the problems you're having. So
right, because it might hurt my kids' feelings.
It just boggles my mind that we got to make a law about this. Yeah. And what it smacks to me is this is the coffee table stuff when you go back and you're campaigning back in your district. Well, I fought for that. Well, who are you talking to? Who are you getting charged up about this non-issue? And what kind of votes are you going after? Anyway, not pleased with that. It feels like every half inch forward we go in the state, we stumble back 6 inches or a foot.
And that is so true. Less than a year ago, we passed the plan for a more perfect union unanimously in the Iowa House and in the Iowa Senate. And part of that plan said that law enforcement agencies had to provide this type of training, and it needed to include information about implicit bias. I don't know what law enforcement is supposed to do if this new bill passes in its current form. How do you reconcile that?
Yeah, well, yeah, because they'd be like, well, I can't talk about implicit bias because, yeah. All right. Well, fun stuff on a Monday morning. Thank you, as always, for taking time to chat with us. And we'll see you next Monday for another Capitol Roundup. Thanks so much, Karin.
Good to see you, Brent. See you next Monday.
And folks, stick around. After this break, we're going to have Lisa Marks from the UK talking about all the Oscar nominations this week and how the nominations this year are definitely different than years past, talking about social issues and a real sign of the times. Don't go anywhere.
School of Rock is now in session in Iowa, and we're ready to help make musicians. In our patented performance-based program, students learn music in one-on-one lessons, then have band practice in a fun, safe learning environment, all leading up to their big show. Guitar, bass, piano, drums, and vocals, our local professionals teach the skills you need to be a rock star. Come check us out and get a free lesson with no strings attached. Locations in West Des Moines and Marion. Visit schoolofrock.com to learn more and start your musical journey today.
It's Wednesday, and as you know, it is time for the Hollywood Smash with Lisa Marks. Hey, Lisa, all the way from the UK. How are you?
Oh my God, I'm feeling so glamorous, Brent, with all this Oscar chat we're just about to do. I put on my best, oldest sweater for you.
Hey, speaking of which, do you remember when Sharon Stone wore the Gap t-shirt to the Oscars?
Yeah, with that big skirt. It was like a big sort of flouncy skirt and no, that was a shirt. No, then I don't.
She wore like black. It was like a black tie. She goes, I bought it at the Gap, and it was so interesting. Anyway, we're off track. Folks, it's Oscar nominations week. Some interesting things have come out, including a Best Song nomination for the kooky Will Ferrell movie. But some other stuff, we're going to hit the big ones and talk about what we think, and we're going to have money put down on this, a friendly wager, if you will.
And I'm sorry about this. Can you see there's a cat in this getting in on the act today? So anyway, yes. Go away, otherwise I'll wear you as an outfit to the Oscars. In the style of Bjork as a swan. Do we remember Bjork as a swan?
The Mad TV did the best send up of that. They did a skit with Whitney Houston, and she goes, "How high am I?"
So cool.
All right, folks, Oscar nominations. Let's jump into, we'll save Best Picture. Let's talk about Best Actor first. I think you and I are in agreement. So Riz Ahmed, Sound of Metal, good for him. It's a fantastic performance. He's now an Oscar-nominated actor. He's not going to win. Anthony Hopkins for The Father. I mean, they just give him an award nomination because they like seeing him show up. Gary Oldman with Mank. He's fine in it, but it's Gary Oldman. He's done much better, and Mank is a pretty middling film, in my opinion. Stephen Minari, good for him. He's now an Oscar-nominated actor. But the person who's going to win is Chadwick Boseman. Chadwick Boseman from Ma Rainey's Black Bottom. What do you think?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, if I would put all my money on that, it's going to be a posthumous win, and rightly so. I mean, you can remember the shock of last year when we discovered, that Chadwick had passed away, and he was such a phenomenal actor, and I really do feel like it's not even a sort of a nod because he has passed away. It was a great performance. It was and the film is amazing, and he was amazing in it. So I really do feel like that's going to be a little sort of sad moment, but also a very sort of fitting moment. And I think he deserved the Oscar this year.
We do have, I'm in the Producers Guild. I will be voting for Mr. Boseman, but I do have folks who watch this program are in the Academy. So vote for Chadwick Boseman. When he passed away, for whatever this means, I never met Mr. Boseman, but I'm still stunned by that. It was a shock. It was out of left field, and his output of work. Folks who don't work in entertainment say, oh, an actor, an actress, how hard can it really be? Folks, it's incredibly hard. Yeah. It's an incredibly challenging job. And then you hope that all the other teams show up. The editing is perfect. The marketing is perfect to have a good film. And it did, Ma Rainey's Black Bottom, watch it on Netflix, because adapting from the Tony-winning play to being a film that always doesn't work, that doesn't always work all the time, because you can tell that it's a theatrical piece. But it's fantastic. I mean, all the performances are incredible, but especially Mr. Chadwick Boseman. So, yeah, definitely pulling for him. posthumously win the Oscar, and our best thoughts are to him and his family and loved ones on his tragic passing. It still reverberates when people think about the fragility of life. I bring that up in conversation always, that and especially because we never saw his decline. And so just to be stunned by that,
shock, wasn't it? And then also to discover he'd done so much of his great work while he was so sick, in between chemo and treatments, and to be, so phenomenal in everything he was doing, and, with no sign of it, as you say, and so young. And, such a great backstory as well, with the help that he'd had from Denzel Washington, and, who'd seen this young talent. And it's a really sad story. And it's still, you're right, it still resonates. And sometimes these things do. And his is one of those.
So switching gears here, A Promising Young Woman is an interesting film, no question. I am surprised at how many nominations it got, and I hope that I'm wrong. Sometimes if you break out of the gate too big with too many nominations, people are like, all right, we're going to let them pass for a while. But Emerald Fennell is on fire.
Wow. I mean, I can't even go near this screen. I feel like her fire is coming at me from the laptop in all angles this morning. I mean, she best director, straight out the gate, which is just insane, and also screenplay, and then Carey Mulligan is also in there as best actress. I'm almost speechless, if as a promising young TV pundit here, I'm failing badly, but Emerald has really, I'm going to say, knocked it out the park, which is a very American saying, but she has.
And a nomination for, Best Picture. So she wrote it, she directed it, the lead actress gets a nomination, and Best Picture. Folks, that's the big, you can't, there's no, I reached out to her reps right when the movie got released. Scheduling made it impossible for her to be on this program, but always happy to welcome her on the program. And I wish her nothing but the best, and congratulations on 4 incredibly huge nominations. These are not small nominations. These are as big as the movie industry goes.
Yeah.
So now let's focus on, I think this is fantastic. So I once had a song that was, I've put my little tiptoe in the waters of Oscars in the short film category. I did a film with Golden Globe winner Sally Kirkland, and then for best song for Courting Des Moines, we made an original song. Let's talk about original song. The Eurovision Song Contest, The Story of Fire Saga.
Honestly, Husavik in the house. I mean, that film was so much fun. And I know that Eurovision, again, doesn't hugely translate to the States, but, around the world, it's enormous. Even Australia joins in, and so does Israel. It's like a whole thing, and the place goes bonkers for it. And the film with Will Ferrell was just so funny. It was just great. I'm like, they're not going to get this quite right, but it was on the nose. And I think this is the song that they sing throughout the film, and it's just great fun. I really hope they get him along to sing it. So, just maybe from his backyard, I don't care where he is, he can be doing some kind of Jason Sudeikis sweatshirt. I don't know, he can put on funny hats, but it would be really nice to hear a performance of that. So I'm happy.
Yeah, in my opinion, one of the great Oscar highlights is when the South Park song got nominated and they did the live version of it. And it was just so much fun to watch. Yeah. So let's hope for that. It's interesting. We're talking about big nominations and then other folks who didn't get nominated. So again, Promising Young Woman nominated for everything. Now you look at a movie like Greyhound, written by Tom Hanks, starring Tom Hanks, paid for with Apple Plus money, was nominated for Best Sound.
Ooh.
That was it. I think this, so right before Lisa and I clicked the button, we were talking about a movie. What is the sign of the times movie right now? And I think we're both I'm leaning toward No Man's Land right now. And I think everything you're looking at, pick up a copy of Vanity Fair magazine,
pick up a copy of the New York Times. The coverage is different. It's not old white men getting the coverage. The attention is being directed elsewhere. And I think the sign of the times movie for this year, I think that's going to win Best Picture, is Nomadland. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I don't see how it can't, to be honest, which I know is a very sort of, probably ridiculous thing to say. There are some great movies. The Trial of the Chicago 7, I thought was an insanely good movie. The Father, very strong. Obviously, Anthony Hopkins, Minari. Who else? We have Mank. I don't think that will win. Promising Young Woman. Who knows? This could be the Promising Young Woman year. It could be between those two. Judas and the Black Messiah with Daniel Kaluuya, and Sound of Metal is up there as well. So for me, the standout is Nomadland. And as you say, it's just zeitgeist. It's very now. It was a really powerful movie as well. I have to say,
Folks, welcome back to the program. And there she is, Karin Eischen. We had some technical issues earlier, so I apologize about that, everyone. But Karin, thank you so much for being on the program today.
Oh, no problem. And I'm sorry, we had some technical difficulties on my end. Our internet went down this morning, of all things. So I am on my phone making it work.
Oh, I love it. Well, that's great that it works. So Karin Eischen, the executive director of the Pella Community and Economic Alliance. I love Pella. I've been to the Tulip Festival so many times. I actually first assistant directed a big Pella window shoot out there. But it's a fantastic town. Why don't you tell folks about Pella and what the Economic Alliance does?
Sure. Well, I'm like you. I absolutely love Pella. Probably have a little bit of a bias on my end, but it is an absolutely gorgeous town, and it is really beautiful through and through. Not only aesthetically, we work very hard to have that Dutch feel and that Dutch look, but beautiful also just in the fact of our people. They are people who love to give back to their community, whether that's starting and investing their businesses here or simply helping out their neighbor. And we saw lots of that exemplified throughout the last year, especially with COVID. Our organization really works to create and elevate that culture. We want our community to absolutely be the best it can for not only employees that work here, but definitely our businesses that are here. They are the lifeblood of our community, and we want to do everything we possibly can to create that culture that's going to be successful for them.
And what are you? What is it? Well, you're not a Peloton. Are you a Pella? What do you call yourself?
I would say Pelicans.
That's beautiful. I love it. Are you from Pella? Did you arrive there later?
Yeah, I came actually just a couple of years after graduating college. They had an opening for a convention and visitors bureau director. They were going to begin kind of their next level of tourism. So I applied and then started that program here and have been with our office ever since. So it's something that I enjoyed even more than I thought I would originally.
Well, it's such a, that whole side of thing, visitors bureau, economic, what it's all about is possibilities. And it's all about fostering dreams, and it's about building airplanes and getting lift. And, to represent, folks, if you haven't been to Pella, you have to go. In California, there's a place called Solvang, and it has the windmills, etc. And I was not aware. I've only been in and out of Iowa for about the last 8 years. And someone said, "Oh, you've got to go to Pella." And I just took a day. It's a short drive from Des Moines, and I was just blown away. It is incredible. It's a charming city, incredible food. But I mean, it's just you park your car, you go for a lovely walk, you have a great meal. It's a lovely city. So what are some of the business pursuits right now that you folks are, what sort of new business is looking there, or what are people really getting into there in Pella area?
I think anything really that's hot across the country definitely is here, but very much that experience. So whether that is in food, so some of those locally owned, very cool concept restaurants is something that is really starting to bud here as well. Experiences as far as what you do within that business, and everything from recreational axe throwing, indoor golf simulation, some of those real social things, to simply social hangouts. So we have a new Iowa wine store. We have the Cellar Peanut Pub, which has been named the best brew bar for many years. So just a wide variety of things that people can do. But I will say the thing that probably is resonating the most right now is anything really to do socially. And I know that sounds odd coming out of COVID, but I think people are really craving that social connection, and that definitely helps then retain people who want to work here and move here and live here.
Yeah, and such a beautiful city, and I think you're right. I think there's once people are vaccinated, et cetera, and all that, there's going to be there's such an appetite right now for getting out there. And I certainly enjoy a lot of Iowa restaurants right now. We go safely, we go by all the protocols and that sort of thing. But businesses are open, folks. If you don't want to go inside, get it for takeout. But go check out Pella. Go for a walking stroll. I mean, there are literally giant windmills there. It's like you're stepping into a country. You've got the little canal it's so charming. I couldn't even believe it when I was there. And
you will find things here that you absolutely cannot find anywhere else in Iowa.
Karin, I imagine that your life plan is to stay what you're doing and keep living your fabulous life.
I will stay doing this as long as they'll have me. It's an absolute awesome feeling and an absolute honor to see what's going on in the community. Like I said, I've been here for over 20 years, and just how it evolves, but yet retains really our roots is really exciting to see.
If folks want to learn more about Pella, what's a website over there?
Sure, they can visit our site at pella.org.
Pella.org. Karin Eischen, thank you so much for coming on. I apologize. We had tech on this side too, and normally we're in a nice little studio and all that, but today and today only, I've got the plain background today. But so anyway, Karin, thank you so much for being on the program. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
You bet. And folks, don't go anywhere. Quick break. One of our sponsors, and then I'll be back to wrap up the show.
There's a new spin on casual dining near Drake University. Lucky Horse Beer and Burgers. Craveable faves, flatbreads, delicious burgers, frozen cocktails, and crazy cool vibes. Get to Lucky Horse Beer and Burgers today.
Well, there's our Monday. Well, let me fix this real quick. So it's been, folks, it's been a crazy day. Why am I showing you a clip of Miami? Fort Lauderdale, Florida. Did you hear this? They arrested over 1,000 people this weekend. Miami Beach officials warned Sunday that the unruly spring break crowd, they were gathering by the thousands. They were fighting in the streets. AP was saying they're destroying restaurant property, refusing to masks. They said it was becoming a threat to public safety. So they went and they put an 8 o'clock curfew in Sunday night. So they're, what the heck? Let's put this full frame. There's beautiful Miami. The sun is rising. But the last couple nights, things got out of hand. So folks, look, I understand we all need a little break from the lockdown. Let's do it safely. Let's put our masks on. Again, you don't have to like wearing a mask, and it's not 100% safety, but it does help. So let's do our best to lend a hand. Folks, did you see the 50th episode of this program last week. The 50th episode had people like former Senator Tom Harkin. It had on Admiral Mike Franken, and it had my buddy Golden Globe winner Sally Kirkland right there. There's Sally and I from an Oscar party at the Beverly Hills Hotel just a few years ago. Just a great show for the 50th anniversary, 50th episode of the show. So thank you to everyone who was on, and people like DC Senator Paul Strauss, who sent in a congratulatory message, and Doug Burns, who's big in newspapers here in Iowa. But on Friday's show, did you see this? Brandon Ost, this short film Inherited. Check it out. It's fantastic. It's so exciting to see Iowa filmmakers. Let's make that big. Iowa filmmakers using resources. This is a resourceful project. He wanted an airplane. So look at this next shot. They got an airplane. And he needed a house that was getting smashed. So they found that too. You'll see a shot here in just a second. I love that shot right there, that natural light. Just a fantastic project. Producing is all about using resources there. Look at that was done for this film. So congratulations to Brandon and the cast and crew of Inherited. Last week, CJ Perry is co-starring in the brand new Bruce Willis movie Cosmic Sin. She was on this program last week. It's in the archives. And this Friday, there's Matt Del Negro. Kevin Bacon is in the scene there with him on a show called City on a Hill. Here's Matt Del Negro from my movie Chasing the Hill. Here he is in City on a Hill. Boy, I almost got that mixed up. Showtime. The series 2 premiere of that is this Sunday. Matt Del Negro is going to be on this program this Friday talking about it, and you are going to see an exclusive scene that isn't even out yet. They sent it literally, folks. They sent it literally. They sent it from the edit bay, a scene with Matt Del Negro and the star of the series, Aldous Hodge. You're going to see that Friday. So huge thanks to Showtime and my buddy Matt Del Negro for being on the program. Awesome. And to Lisa Marks. So that that Oscar showcase was supposed to air last Wednesday, just because this is a live program. It didn't. So thank you to Lisa Marks. She will be on this Wednesday talking about streaming picks. I'll be back in the normal studio tomorrow with better lighting. Thank you, folks, so much for tuning in. That is our Monday show. We will see you right back here tomorrow.